I'm Jennifer Hassler with Kendore Learning, and I'm going to talk to you about the Toss and Teach beach ball. The Toss and Teach is a concept we've been doing for years and years, and we would just take the beach ball and we would write all over it with permanent marker because we'd have to use a Sharpie so that it wouldn't wipe right off, but then we went through a lot of beach balls. So what we came up with was this awesome design where you can take all of the cards that we use and insert them quickly and easily into the beach ball, and all the same games can be played. So when I play with the Toss and Teach with little kids, what I'll do is I'll fill it up with consonant sounds, and then when I toss it, I say wherever their thumb lands. Initially, some kids are not really good at left thumb, right thumb, but it's a great way to teach them because I would say, tell me where your left thumb lands. And when I toss it up in the air, my left thumb landed on So I would have them say either the letter name, if that's what they're working on, depending how young they are, the sound that makes, or I can have them tell me a word that has in it, like monkey. And then they get to toss it to their friends, and then the next friend gets to do it. A lot of times I'll teach kids categories. So tell me an animal name that has one of these sounds, a place you visited, an adjective or a verb, so that I can start getting them thinking about grammar. So actually the possibilities are endless. When kids are a little bit older, what we do is we just change out the cards for different decks. So this is our criminal word deck. So if a kid were to toss this up in the air, and I'd say on your left thumb, what did you hit? If they hit 8, then they have to practice reading it, so they would, and then use it in a sentence. So it's EIGHT, not ATE, so they would have to say, I have $8. Then they get to toss it to their friends, and wherever their hand lands. As I start, I make it more and more complex. So I'll say, okay, if you have 8 on your left thumb and door on your right, then I'll say you have to try to use it in one sentence. The door had number 8 written on it. So that way they get practice with reading and spelling and construction of sentences as well. So the spelling part comes in is where I will have a kid grab it and say, whatever your left thumb lands on, you have to read the word, use it in a sentence, and tell the other person that you're tossing it to what it is. So I would say 2. I have 2 coins. So then they would have to, their friend would have to spell 2 correctly in order to get the ball tossed to them. So that way you have expressive and receptive practice of these words that they're going to need to know both how to read and to spell. So then when their friend said TWO, they would catch the ball. Theirs lands on door, open the door, and then the person they're tossing it to has to spell door in order to receive the ball. And that way they're getting a lot of continuous practice. Now, if I'm done with that activity or I want to switch different words in and out, it's super easy to just pull some words out and put some in, because as we all know, we're going to have kids who tend to struggle more with certain words. So I might leave the word thought in here because they're having trouble with it, but they've mastered the number 1. So then I can just take new words, off of my stack of criminal words, and then they just slide right in the pocket. Super easy. And then we have a brand new ball, which we don't have to keep creating new ones, because we can use this one over and over and over thousands of times in multiple ways. Now, I even use this with kids as they are learning the syllable types, because I can pull these out and I can exchange them for my red block deck. So this would be a vowel team syllable. If I've only taught open and closed, I may only put open and closed syllables in here. Here's dole, consonant LE, so I can put this on here. And then once I fill this completely up with our syllable types, then I can have kids put them, toss them, grab them. Whenever they hit, you would have to say ale, and that's a vowel team. If they have 2, so they land on ob, which is closed, and ale, which is vowel team, they would have to try to blend them together into a nonsense word, ob ale. So they start to see that these syllables can come together to build new words. So I've talked to you about, our syllable type deck, our cops and criminal word deck, and our consonant deck, but we have 10 different decks that you can use for kids of all different ages to reinforce. And they love to be up and moving around, and the multisensory aspect of it is going to get them a little bit more involved in the process. When you get the Toss and Teach ball, we're going to give you a pamphlet that explains all the different ways that you can use our decks with the ball. So I hope you have a ball. Thanks so much.